All right, listen up. Gather round. Find a comfortable seat, if you can. My name is James Rowe. Admiral James Rowe, retired. Spent 40 years serving this great nation at sea. Seen things that make your hair curl, faced storms that'd swallow lesser ships whole, and stared down threats on horizons near and far. And today, I ain't here to talk about tactics or sea battles. I'm here to talk about staying in the fight, even when the calendar tells you you've earned your rest. I'm here to share 5 simple habits, the kind that don't cost a dime but are worth more than all the gold in Fort Knox. Habits that kept this old sea dog healthy, sharp, and still standing tall at 80 years young. Now, I'm no doc, never was. My expertise was navigating treacherous waters, leading brave men and women, and making sure the job got done, no matter the odds. But spending 4 decades on the ocean, where the only constant is change, and the only certainty is the unexpected, teaches you a thing or two about the human machine. It teaches you that neglect is a one-way ticket to disaster, and that small, consistent efforts compound into monumental strength down the line. If you're north of 50, maybe pushing 60, 70, or even 80, you've earned every gray hair and every hard-won wrinkle. You've navigated your own storms, both personal and professional. You know that life ain't always a smooth sail. And maybe, just maybe, you're starting to feel the effects of those journeys a bit more kingly. The joints creak a little louder. The energy levels ain't what they used to be. And the morning mirror shows a face that's seen a few too many sunrises without enough sleep. I hear you. I've been there. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be a slow drift into the sunset. You can still have wind in your sails. You can still chart a course for vibrant health and a mind as sharp as a tack. Stick with me, and I'll tell you how. These ain't secrets of the deep, complex strategies or expensive treatments. They're just fundamental principles, forged in the crucible of naval life and proven over decades for putting my body and mind through the ringer. Sometimes, the most powerful weapons in our arsenal are the simplest ones. The 5 pillars of a long, healthy life. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. 5 habits. That's it. 5 things I committed to, day in and day out, that made all the difference. No fancy equipment, no complicated routines. Just consistent, disciplined action. Because in the Navy and in life, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Habit 1. Start the day with 10 minutes of light movement. First up, and arguably the most critical, is getting the engine running first thing in the morning. We're not talking about running a marathon here. This ain't boot camp. This is about waking up the machinery, shaking off the cobwebs, and telling your body, all right, let's get to work. For me, for years, this meant hitting the deck as the first hint of dawn cracked over the horizon. You see, on a ship, space is a premium. You don't have sprawling gyms. Your world is contained. My routine? 10 minutes. That's all I committed to. Stepped out on the fantail, took in the salty air, and just moved. A little stretching, some arm circles, maybe a few knee raises. Nothing that would break a sweat. Nothing that would leave me gasping for air. Just gentle, deliberate movement. I remember one particular morning, must have been off the coast of Somalia during a tense period. The air was thick with anticipation. Every nerve ending was on high alert. We'd been at sea for weeks, the monotony punctuated by moments of sheer white-knuckle stress. My crew was showing the strain. Morale was dipping. I could have stayed in my cabin, buried in charts and reports. But I knew, instinctively, that I needed to do something to shake off the inertia, to set a different tone for the day, not just for myself, but as an example. So, there I was, on the deck, going through my simple 10-minute routine, just stretching and moving. A young ensign, looking haggard and worn, came up to me. "Admiral," he said, How can you be so calm right now? I just smiled, finished my arm circles, and said, Ensign, you gotta start the day by taking command of yourself. This 10 minutes? This is me taking command of my physical state. It sends a message to the rest of me, mind and body, that we're ready. We're not reacting. We're preparing. A few days later, I saw that same ensign out on the deck, doing his own version of my 10-minute routine. It wasn't about the specific movements. It was about the discipline, the commitment to starting the day in a proactive way. It gets the blood flowing, yes, but more importantly, it sets a mental precedent for the rest of the day. It says, I am in control. This simple habit is about consistency, not intensity. It's about building a foundation. Think of it as the first link in a strong chain. That 10 minutes sends a signal to your muscles, your joints, your entire circulatory system. Wake up. We have a mission today. It lubricates the joints, improves flexibility, and gets oxygen to the brain. It's a small investment for a massive return. Don't overthink it. Just move, stretch, breathe. 10 minutes. That's the command. Habit 2. Drink water immediately upon waking. On a ship, especially in the heat of the tropics or the dry bite of the Arctic winds, hydration wasn't a luxury. It was survival. Clean water was guarded like gold. Every drop was accounted for. And you learned, very quickly, the signs of dehydration. The fatigue, the headaches, the cloudy thinking. You couldn't afford any of that when the stakes were life and death. That's why, for me, drinking water first thing in the morning became non-negotiable. Before coffee, before anything else. A tall glass of water, room temperature, usually, just to rehydrate the system after hours of sleep. Your body has been working all night, repairing, restoring, flushing out the waste. It needs to replenish those fluids. I remember a particularly harrowing situation in the Persian Gulf. It was scorchingly hot, and we were on high alert. Dehydration was a constant threat. One of my petty officers, a young man named Miller, collapsed on duty. Heat exhaustion. He was tough as nails, but he neglected to keep himself properly hydrated. It was a stark reminder that even the strongest among us are vulnerable if we neglect the basics. After that, we implemented a strict hydration protocol for the entire crew. Water breaks weren't optional. They were mandatory. And it started with that first drink in the morning. Think of your body like a ship's engine. After running all night, it needs to be flushed and refueled before it can operate at peak performance. That first glass of water is like cleaning the system, getting things moving. It aids digestion, helps the body eliminate toxins, and kickstarts your metabolism. It's a simple act, easily overlooked, but its impact is profound. It's the essential fuel line to your internal machinery. So, keep a glass of water by your bed. Make it the very first thing you do when your feet hit the floor. Before you check your emails, before you turn on the news, before you even think about that first cup of coffee. Water. It's the oldest, most effective performance enhancer there is. And it's free. Habit 3. Eat a nutritious breakfast. You wouldn't send a ship into battle without making sure its fuel tanks were full, would you? Of course not. That would be professional malpractice. Yet, how many people try to navigate their day, their own personal battles, on an empty tank? Far too many. Breakfast on a ship was a serious affair. It had to be. You needed sustenance for a demanding day, often in challenging conditions. My go-to was simple, but effective. Eggs for protein, whole wheat toast for complex carbohydrates, and a piece of fruit for vitamins and fiber. That combination gave me the sustained energy I needed to get through the morning, to make critical decisions, and to lead my crew effectively. It wasn't about gourmet meals. It was about putting the right kind of fuel in the tank. I recall a time we were tracking a submarine in the North Atlantic. The sea was rough, the hours were long, and the tension was palpable. We were operating on minimal sleep and maximum adrenaline. One of my officers, usually sharp as a tack, was making uncharacteristic errors. I called him into my cabin. He looked exhausted and admitted he'd skipped breakfast for the past few days, just grabbing coffee. I ordered him to the mess hall, told him to eat a proper meal, and report back. An hour later, he was a different man. Focused, alert, back to his usual standard. It was a powerful reminder that even the sharpest mind is dependent on a properly nourished body. Skipping breakfast is like starting a long voyage with half a tank of fuel. You might get somewhere, but you'll run out of steam long before you reach your destination. A balanced breakfast provides the essential nutrients to power your brain and body, improving focus, concentration, and overall energy levels. It sets the stage for a productive day. Think of it as provisioning your vessel for the journey ahead. Make breakfast a priority. Choose foods that provide sustained energy, protein, whole grains, and healthy fats. Avoid sugary cereals and pastries that will give you a quick spike followed by a crash. This is about providing your body with the stable energy it needs to perform at its best. It's not just a meal. It's a strategic move. Habit 4. Exercise your mind every day. Being physically fit is paramount in the Navy. You have to be able to handle the demands of the job. But physical strength without mental acuity is like a powerful ship with no navigation system. You might have the power, but you won't know where you're going, and you're likely to end up on the rocks. For me, keeping my mind sharp was as important as keeping my body strong. The naval world is constantly evolving. New technologies, new threats, new strategies. You have to keep learning, keep adapting, or you become obsolete. My daily mental exercise took many forms. Reading was a constant. Not just professional journals, but history, philosophy, even fiction that challenged my perspective. I also made a habit of tackling puzzles. Crosswords, Sudoku, anything that required focused thought and problem solving. It was a way to engage different parts of my brain, to keep the neural pathways firing. It was like running drills for the mind. I remember during the Cold War, the intelligence coming in was often fragmented, contradictory, and required intense analysis to piece together the true picture. One day, we received a series of coded messages that seemed nonsensical. My team was stumped. I'd been working on a particularly challenging Sudoku puzzle that morning, and the process of trying different combinations, eliminating possibilities, and looking for patterns suddenly clicked in my head. I applied the same methodical approach to the coded messages, and after hours of intense focus, we broke the code. It wasn't just about intelligence. It was about the mental flexibility and perseverance I'd honed through those daily mental exercises. My brain was warmed up, ready for the challenge. Your brain is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. Period. Engaging in activities that challenge your mind, learning a new skill, reading, doing puzzles, engaging in stimulating conversations, helps maintain cognitive function, improves memory, and keeps your mind agile as you age. Make time each day to exercise your mind. Pick up a book, work on a puzzle, learn a few words in a new language. It doesn't have to be hours of intense study. Just like physical exercise, consistency is key. Keep your mind active and engaged. It's your most valuable asset. Habit 5. Carve out time for stillness. The ocean is vast, powerful, and often incredibly chaotic. Storms can rage with a fury that shakes you to your core. But after the storm passes, there's often a profound stillness, a quiet calm that settles over the water. I learned to appreciate that stillness, to seek it out. It wasn't just a break from the storm. It was a time for reflection, for processing, for recovering. In the non-stop world of naval operations, finding moments of quiet was a challenge, but I made it a priority. Even if it was just 15 minutes alone in my cabin, with the door closed, No radio traffic, no reports. Just the hum of the ship and the sound of my own breathing. I'd sit there, close my eyes, and just be. No agenda, no problem solving, no strategizing. Just quiet reflection. This wasn't about meditation in a formal sense. It was about creating space. Space to listen to my own thoughts, to process the day's events, to simply allow my mind and body to settle. It was in those moments of stillness that I often found clarity, perspective, and a sense of inner peace amidst the external chaos. I remember a period of intense negotiations with a foreign power. The pressure was immense. Every word, every gesture was scrutinized. My mind was racing constantly, analyzing every angle, anticipating every move. I was on the verge of burnout. One evening, I forced myself to take 20 minutes in my cabin, just to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions. Initially, my thoughts were still a whirlwind, but gradually, as I focused on my breath, the noise began to subside. By the end of those 20 minutes, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't experienced in days. I walked back into the negotiation room with a clear head and a renewed sense of purpose. That quiet time wasn't a luxury. It was a necessity for maintaining my effectiveness. In our hyper-connected world, stillness is a rare commodity. We're constantly bombarded with information, notifications, demands on our attention. This constant stimulation is draining. Carving out time for quiet, for simply being present, allows your mind and body to rest and recharge. It reduces stress, improves focus, and enhances your ability to think clearly and creatively. Find your own form of stillness. It could be sitting in a quiet room, going for a walk in nature, or simply closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. Aim for at least 15 minutes a day. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about grounding yourself, about connecting with your inner core. It's about maintaining your internal compass in a chaotic world. So there you have it, 5 simple habits. Starting the day with movement, hydrating first thing, fueling up with a good breakfast, keeping the mind sharp, and finding time for stillness. These aren't complicated maneuvers. They're fundamental principles of good seamanship, applied to the vessel that carries you through life, your body. Age is just a number, they say. And to a certain extent, that's true. What truly matters is how you navigate the years, the choices you make, the habits you cultivate. Every day, you have the opportunity to plant seeds of good health in your own garden. These 5 habits are those seeds. They don't require wealth or privilege. They require something far more valuable, persistence. The unwavering commitment to show up for yourself day after day. That's the same persistence that gets a ship through a hurricane, the same persistence that wins battles, the same persistence that allows you to overcome any obstacle life throws your way. And I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that each and every one of you, having navigated the waters you have, possesses that persistence in abundance. So don't wait for a crisis to start taking care of yourself. Don't wait until the charts show you're running aground. Start today. Embrace these simple habits. Make them part of your daily routine. They are your anchors in the storm, your compass points guiding you toward a healthier, more vibrant future. Love and care for the magnificent vessel that is your body. Provision it well. Keep its engines running smoothly and navigate with a clear mind. The journey isn't over. In fact, with the right habits, 80 can be just the beginning of the next extraordinary chapter. I'm James Rowe. It's been an honor to share these lessons with you. Now go forth and sail strong.